Hi, it's Peggy. I wanted to show you how to do this. I know, it looks like a box, right? Originally seen this a couple years ago, and what it is a box card with a card on it, and it was made to hold tea light candles. And the original one I saw held just 3 candles, and I decided I wanted to do 6, so I figured it out, and this is what I came up with. So you've got your card over here that you can write a sentiment on, or stamp, and then you have your box here. You don't have to use candles. You can fill it with candy or whatever you want. And I put acetate in here just because I like it. Maybe if you didn't have acetate but still wanted a window, you might want to cut it a little bit smaller. And I used my Cuttlebug with a die to cut that out. If you don't have one, which I didn't have till just recently, I used to just use my craft knife to cut out a square. So the acetate is optional, and then you can decorate it however you want, Christmas, birthday, whatever. So I'm going to show you how to do that. You need a piece of paper 7.5 inches by 9. If you use a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, find a pattern that can go whichever way, like where'd you go? Like this. It doesn't matter which way is up on the pattern. Like some of your patterns just run straight up and down or sideways. Well, you can't have part of it running this way and then the other part of it running that way. You could, but it wouldn't look very good. So try and find a pattern paper that you can swing around each way. If you do that, then you can get the box and the card cut out of the 12 by 12 sheet of paper. If you use the 8.5 by 9, then you're going to have to use 2 pieces, or 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. You're going to have to use 2 sheets anyway. So, put your paper on your scoreboard. You want the 9-inch along the top. Your first score is at 3 1/4. Your next one is 4 1/4. 7.5 and 8.5. So that's 3 1/4, 4 1/4, 7.5, and 8.5. Important. Turn your right side to the top. So you had it like this. Just swing the right side so that it's now at the top. Your first score will be at 3/4 of an inch, and then again at 1 3/4, and then 6.5. So 3/4, 1 3/4, and 6.5. That's all we need the scoreboard for, so we can get rid of that. Now then, you'll see I have a bunch of yellow lines here. Those areas are going to get cut out. So, what you want to do is swing it around so that the double lines are at the top. You got the one line going across horizontally at the bottom. You got the 2 lines at the top. So that's facing you now. What you want to do is cut down to the second line on all the vertical lines. So just cut down to the second line on all these vertical lines here. Any area that's yellow is getting cut out. So you want all that gone, the two areas inside the two score lines, that's all coming out. So just chop that out. Get up there. And then this little top tab, it comes off. And then you can just swing it around to the other side. Both of these down to the second score lines coming out. And then just the top half of that one. So then the top of your paper is now going to look like this. It did look like that. I don't know where the other piece went, but anyway. So we've cut all this away. This makes sense once you start putting it together. Then you swing it around so you have the bottom facing you, and you're going to cut all the vertical lines up to the score line. And you see this little area over here, it's colored in, so we're going to cut that out. Oh, get up there. There we go. So that's the only thing that gets cut out on the bottom. Now then, what I like to do, swinging it around the top again, is I like to just cut all these just a bit off at an angle. So you get a little triangle here that you're cutting off. Just go down to the first line on this one. It's only less than 1/8 of an inch that you're taking it up, but so you can see now that they're not squared, they're tapered. And do the same to the side piece here. And to the bottom pieces. It's just easier to fold in. You don't have any pieces poking out if you don't happen to get it quite lined up right. And you don't need a lot to take off of it. And one more. So you got all these little itty bitty triangles here. And now would be the time to cut your center out. So chop, 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 chop. I've got my center cut out. And you'll want to put your acetate in now if you're going to. So you turn it over to the inside. Get a hold of my tape. And just put some tape along the inside to where the axle end of it here. There it is. Just run a little bit of tape along here so that your acetate will stick to it. craft mat really needs a good cleaning. That stuff all stuck to it here, and it's hard to move paper on it. Anyway, no, that's okay. So this has a tissue backing on it, so I like to leave that. Well, let's take the backing off the tape here first, or it's not going to stick to anything, is it? And I can never get those. Your paper piercer is one of the handiest tools that you can own. You can use it for so many things. Spreading glitter around, or unplugging your glue, or so anyway, I leave the tissue backing on the acetate just to keep fingerprints off it until I get it set in here. There we go. And then you just go along and fold your score lines. And one more. And you'll need some tape along this side edge, that narrow strip. See if we get the backing off of this now. And you just fold that over and smooth it down. So you got your box forming here. Need some tape for your sides, or if you want, you can use glue. It doesn't have to be tape, for sure. Whatever you're happy with. Get it off my finger here. And the front piece, I want it to be the last fold. So put your tape on the back big flap there. Okay. Just take the backing off of that. Fold that in. Backing off that side. So fold your side tabs in first. Make sure you get it squared up. And then just stick her down. So if you fold that last, then you got a nice clean line going around here, where at the back here you can see the seam line where they join. And then you've got your box here that just folds together down in there. So you got a nice little box. Then you take a piece of paper that is 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. And you will want to score that. You want the 4 1/4 along the top, the narrow side. You want 4 3/4 this way. You want to score at 1 inch. And just fold that over and burnish it. And I prefer to use glue on this part. Just gives me a second to get it lined up. If I use tape, then I don't usually get it lined up well. So make sure that's your top that opens, and you'll just stick that on the right hand side here, and just sort of slide it in place, and there you go. You've got your card attached to your box here. And then you can just go ahead and decorate it the way you want. Fill it with candy or candles or whatever you want. This size will hold, like I say, 6 tea light candles. So there you go. Just seen a really neat video on easel cards, so I'm going to go check that out and see if I can make that. And if I do, I'll show you how that turns out. So that's it for this trip. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll talk to you later. Take care.